Spring's creeping on, isn't it? Had to bash my way through a bit of snow to get up to this level. Can't see much snow behind me, but there's a bunch down below me. On the truck in the spur road, a little logged off area. I lost an hour the other day filming. I don't know what happened to my brand new $400 audio item. I kind of crapped the bed. Whatever. So I have to use the audio in the camera. It just picks up every single sound like you wouldn't believe. It's pretty quiet here right now, so I think it should be alright. Anyway, gonna share a couple tidbits. Just items to think about, alright? It's not a rant. It's just, like I said before, I like to point out things for people to think about, in case they just might be missing it, maybe. And remember, I've stated a few times that we all are, this lifetime is about us completing our own puzzle. We all got a puzzle in front of us. Unfortunately, majority of our life, we are told where to put our puzzle pieces and which puzzle pieces to grab and place. We're told to, we're instructed to, right? Now, if you can think independently and your brain fires by itself, you realize that you have got to figure out your own puzzle, because the puzzle you've been given doesn't even mesh up. It just doesn't. So, here's something to think about. Knowing that, and I always suggest, take from it what you will. If there's a missing piece to your puzzle in what I share from the people, take it, do with it as you need, if it helps you or not, or leave it. It's too easy, right? Now, what can possibly be potentially alarming or a strong clue is when a person or group doesn't want you to have that piece of the puzzle that is shared openly here. That should kick off an alarm bell, right? Now, I know I've mentioned in the past, there's a lot of people that want me to shut up. But let's face it, if people want me to shut up, that means they want all of you to shut up. They want the people to be quiet. You know, obviously, like right now, I'm sharing some of my own personal feelings. Big deal, who am I, right? Look behind me, I'm nobody. I'm just another human being on the face of this planet. But I'm a human being that's not scared, right? And I know that we all deserve fair crack at speaking and learning. So, if they want me to be quiet, that means they want all of you to be quiet. Now, why would somebody want you to be quiet? Now, you got to think about it. Your average person, especially what we've seen displayed in mainstream media this past year, the people that want voices taken away are the people who have the most to lose, right? So, here's where you may want to find, if you can find out the answer to this, what I'm getting at is, you will possibly find a big missing piece to this puzzle, your puzzle, when it comes to these particular few topics I've been covering, which are unknown and confusing and have caused a lot of grief to a lot of innocent people. So, as you're trying to find your missing piece to this puzzle right here, here's a clue that you may be able to find a big piece to your puzzle by getting somebody to answer this question. Now, probably, I don't know, 95% of today's Bigfoot Sasquatch community, probably 95% of them want me to shut up and go away. Why is that? I mean, it's not going to happen. It doesn't affect me at all. But especially the reality TV shows, every single person involved in any reality TV show when it comes to this topic wants me to shut up and go away. All right? Now, why is that? That's a good question, isn't it? So if we could find out, or you could find out, exactly the real true reason why these people want me and all you to be quiet, I have a funny suspicion that is when we will find a big missing piece to our own puzzles. A big piece is finding out why, right? Because it doesn't make sense. So if you were your typical person who is interested in this topic, most of these people are trying to prove it to the world. That's probably their first mistake as they go along the ride, as far as I'm concerned. But if you wanted more awareness brought to this particular subject and more, and some asshole like me had a YouTube channel, which turns out was bringing over 4.5 million views a month and increasing, focused on this topic, should you not be doing jumping jacks and celebrating? Because finally, the subject that you have been trying to bring awareness to is getting huge amounts of awareness. Right? Correct me if I'm wrong. But it's a little surprising if you look at it from that angle. It's like, hey, wait a minute. How come you guys really want everybody to shut up? Awareness is being brought to this topic. That's what you've been trying to do, right? So how come you're not happy about it? But if you do know someone who is directly involved in the reality TV business when it comes to this topic, or a popular group, social media group, whatever, look them square in the eye and ask them to explain to you so you can clearly understand why it is that they so desperately need me to stop talking and go away, which includes all of you that share through me. It's not just me. They want all of you to shut up and go away. Why is that? Now, if you can find out the answer to that, you're gonna grab a big missing piece to your puzzle, everybody's puzzle, guaranteed. Something to think about, right? Now we'll see what do we got. I got a quick hour here. Horses are fed. I got to head down through the sea to sky here as soon as I can. What do we got? Titled Breath of Fresh Air. Wow, Steve, I just started watching your videos. I'm so relieved that so many people have shared their truths with you and all the viewers. It's such a relief to know that I've not been going crazy. I was honestly beginning to wonder if I was suffering from paranoia/schizophrenia. LOL. Here's my experience. So up in Blue River, Oregon in 2017, my husband and I were staying at my uncle's property in a travel trailer. At night during the summer, we would barbecue outside, or I'd use the side burner to boil my water for tea. One night while outside alone, I was experiencing eerie feelings of being watched. I could hear movement on the mountain above the property. I shrugged it off as raccoons or deer, etc. As I waited for the tea kettle to boil, a rock was thrown and it slammed against the side of the travel trailer, caused me to scream out loud. At that moment, I suspected my husband was trying to scare me. I pulled my cell out of my pocket and called my husband. When he answered, I asked if he was outside messing with me. He sounded confused and said, "No, I'm in the main house playing cards with Aunt Teresa." I felt all the blood drain from my body. I hung up the phone and ran as fast as I could to their house. I was wearing flip-flops, or slides, and underestimated the depth and the height of the stairs and slammed my left foot into the concrete steps. At that moment, I was no longer scared but angry. I shattered my foot like a twig. Ouch! I made excuses for the events that night and never mentioned it again. A few weeks later, my husband, my cat, and I were out in the trailer in bed when my cat started hissing and growling at the covered window. My husband and I looked at each other in bewilderment because our cat never acted so strange. A few seconds later, there was suddenly 3 knocks on my side of the trailer back by the bedroom. I responded by pulling back the curtain only to see a hairy head, dark blonde in color, running and ducking past the window. I sprung out of the bed, flung open the door, and ran outside to see nobody and nothing. So scary and strange. Having my husband there to witness this comforted me more. I wasn't hearing and seeing things. We never saw anything after that, but still experienced weird things. My cat would periodically climb on the roof of the main house, and I couldn't coax him down. My cat was terrified. I once snapped a few pics with my phone, and there was a picture of a huge man sitting on a branch midway up the tree. Well, just wanted to contribute that cause, hashtag not alone. You know, I commented on this already. I think I may have read this, and I'm sorry if I did, you guys, but I went up the mountain the other day and made a couple of videos, and the last half hour I decided to take out to read. The audio screwed up, and then of course I just keep marking these as red, and it goes into folder with, I think there's 300 right here. I might have screwed up. But either way, because I do remember commenting on this and saying, what is it about the cats and the dogs, the animals, the children that instantly are absolutely alarmed and terrified when it comes to these things? What is it? And again, I'll thank you, ma'am, for sending that email to share with all of us, the people, and really, really appreciate the time it took for you to do that. And if we could offer up any side note of help, it would be to light up the shit out of that yard outside your home. Put the lights up all the way around it, and really point them out towards the cover that's next closer to your home, and that should keep them away, right? Although it is a pain in the ass to have bright lights out the window, which I can't stand. But moving along, just in case I already read that. Hey Steve, Jared Taylor of the Jared Twins here, with another story from the same Indigenous friend of mine who had the sighting on the quad. After this story, I'll share a few details I forgot about the quad story. So one day my buddy and a friend decided to go for a hike. If anybody knows the area in Mission, British Columbia, it's Nourish Creek. Too many locals called Suicide Creek. This is also about 15 years ago, so we don't have to worry about them being there still. And anyways, we know they're everywhere whenever they want to be, right Steve? Yeah, basically in a nutshell, for sure. Once you're at the creek, you cross a car bridge, and then you can go left or right on the trail. Going right, you head down towards the mouth of the creek. Left goes towards Dewdney Mountains. So they left on the trail all the way to the mountains. Then you can start up the hill into the mountains. And you don't have one period or comma in this whole story, dude. Shit. Well, I'll see what I can do. Once you're at the creek, cross car bridge. So they went left on the trail all the way to the mountains. Then you can start up the hill into the mountains. So about halfway up the trail, there's a patch of boulders. They stopped to have a beer, crush a cold one. They found it odd that there was a giant rock in the middle of the trail that they had never noticed before. Huge, about 7 feet tall and 6 feet around. But they leaned on it and drank their beer, crushed their cans, and carried on. They made it all the way to the top of the mountain. It was a great day, but on the way down, they got back to the boulder patch. They realized the rock was gone. They were tripping right out. Where is that huge rock? And then they looked on the ground, seen the cans that they left right there. The only thing that came to his mind was the legends of the shapeshifters were real. I also had other indigenous friend of mine tell me to always count the trees, and that the forest people can shapeshift into trees. And this knowledge was passed down. I always thought of that when I heard the rock story. Okay, now, these are a few details I forgot about the quadding story. 2 weeks before the sighting, when they were quadding around, they found this tunnel-like structure made in the saplings where the tops were bent over, weaved together, and at the 10-foot tall mark. Headed towards the mountain valley, all I could think of was how strange, even weirder, that they never noticed it before, considering they quadded there all the time, and the next time they came, they had the sighting and didn't go back for 15 or so years. One other quickly invisible bluff charge. Nope, the periods are starting. I have a huge gravel driveway, and one moonlit evening, I heard and seen a bipedal footsteps bluff charge me. Skidding to stop, right in front of me, heard and seen gravel move, but there was nothing there. It stopped at 3 inches from me. All I could do was go, what the hell is that? Shaked it off and carried on. Nothing really bothers me because I know this world is stranger than it'll ever appear. That's just something I've known forever. God bless you, Steve. Rest in peace, Mac. The boys in Mission got your back. All right, on, man, I got your back too. And thank you for the kind words about my horse. It's gonna kill me moving and not bringing him. Oof. But anyway, yeah, it's an interesting story, especially about the rock. It's an alarming one. It's almost like sometimes I should review some of my backdrops and then go back and take a photograph of them again later on and see if anything's drastically changed on its own, right? Without a chainsaw, you never know. These days especially. Mark that as red. Gotta look over my back every once in a while. There is a good population of grizzlies in this little valley I'm in right here. And they should be around. I don't need somebody bumping into me by accident, and it's gonna happen. It's gonna happen to me, right? I don't know why. Usually does. Steve, I grew up in northern Michigan. Was an avid hunter. So here's my concern. I'd been bow hunting for deer on a late day hunt that brought me walking back to my dad's farm. It was about a 2-mile trek after dark from mixed landscape, forest, fields, lowland marsh, typical UP geography. So as I was walking back on an old hard-packed road that I knew very well, I decided to stop at a marshy area at the low point of the road, probably to light a smoke. Now things get crazy. Suddenly the marshes comes alive with something moving and huffing loudly, and I mean like rattle your chest loudly from less than 10 feet away. Now I did not know what was moving, nor which direction I was going. I was more than scared of what was about to happen, mostly because of all the years I've been around wildlife, I never experienced anything even close to what was happening in the dark at point blank range. Plus, my flashlight was dead. What do you do? The only protection I had was my bow. So I knocked an arrow and slowly started to walk backwards towards home, a mile and a half away. Now here's my dilemma, as what came out of those reeds kept loudly huffing alongside of me for at least a half a mile. That sucks. I truly thought this angry beast was going to launch out at me at any given time. The huffing was not anything I've ever heard a deer or bear make. As I walked backwards being challenged like this, I eventually came up on the neighbor's farmhouse, the critter faded away, and I double timed to my dad's farm. My father was a lifelong hunter, and he could not offer an opinion as to what it was. I told my father I had aged 10 years in the last hour. Opinion? Thank you, love your site. Keep it real, Paul Kanoonan. Well, Paul, like I said this before, just for the fact that you sought out this channel on my email and emailed me with this story, you know what it was. So do I. Roughly what it was, right? I guarantee you it wasn't a natural predator. Meaning it wasn't a bear of any kind, it wasn't a wolf, it wasn't a cat. There's no way. You can also Google up a lot of those bear encounters, close calls online. YouTube, there's a lot of YouTube videos of black bears following people and tormenting them and challenging them to see if they might be an easy meal. They don't keep themselves hidden. They are out there in your face and tempting to see if it would be too much of a struggle or an easy meal. That's what they do. So, there you go. You know what it was, man. Thing is, I guess the key is to hopefully not have it happen again, right? Alright, what do we got here? Hi, Steve. I started to watch as he started telling your Sasquatch experiences. Being in South Wales, UK, and being a fan of Dave P. also, I've been down the rabbit hole for a long time before YouTube. Just curious, I guess. It was early September 2020. I had urged to travel to the bypass. I had just fixed an e-scooter and was test driving it. Why travel there? I don't know. Well, I arrived at the turning, I looked right, and a large orange ball was traveling just above the bypass lighting. Supposed freeway US equivalent to bypass. It's a major interchange in Cardiff, 3-story of road traffic, roundabout and flyover. This thing came past me within 20 meters. At closest point, it traveled up to the flyover, following the contour of the lighting effortlessly. I didn't want to go for my phone in case I missed or lost it. I was amazed, gobsmacked, not scared. As it reached its highest point above the Gabelfa interchange, it bared right slightly to follow another road. This was no disc, it was round. I saw basically 3/4 of the ball, so no low sun as a disc. The top of the ball had a slight slither of bright yellow light. Strange. Then with a few weeks of this, I saw a crow-sized bluebird. There are no native bluebirds in the UK, especially that size. There was no parrot, cockatoo. They're exactly in the same place, Steve. Obviously, I walked past the bird, where the ball came to me about 50 meters from where I first sighted. Thank you for opening my eyes. I'm thinking, are these experiences maybe thought activated? As I'm aware, both these experiences were within yards of that river Taff that flows through the city. I tried mentioning to a few, but you guessed it, been laughed at. Or I'm a liar. I'm 48. I don't need to lie for attention. So, Steve, I know it's not Bigfoot related, but there's strange shit going on everywhere. P.S. If you ever need anything done or checked in Cardiff, don't hesitate to ask. Thanks for your work, Steve Neal. Yeah, that sounds pretty frickin' bizarre. There's no shortage of crazy shit going on in the UK, is there? Seems like you guys got it all covered, from UFOs to Sasquatch to dogmen and all the other shit, right? Yeah, the mysteries. One after the other. Dear Steve, as I wrote you in the past, I was a heckler on the channel. Oh yeah? How'd that work out? I thought you were all insane wanting attention. Then the Edgar story came out and it made me remember all of my encounter. I was approached from behind at 5:30 a.m., still dark. About to board the boat to go across the lake to get my truck when I heard a grunt. I thought, it's a bear. I slowly turned. Keep in mind, this is Buckhorn Lake State Park, and the cabin I was in was a rental across from my step-uncle's property. He always said there were monkeys in the forest behind the cabins. Anyway, I slowly turned, and the first thing I noticed was glowing yellow eyes, then the rest. It was a female. The skin was grayish yellow, and she wore a fur around her ankles and wrists. The beast was hairless, and she was around 6'7" and looked to be 250 pounds, sort of skinny for the tallness. She had markings on her body. She had no clothing on her body anywhere. She had some hair, but not what everyone says Bigfoot has. Well, my stepdad he came to the door and saw her with the spear, and he had a rifle leaning against the door facing, and he shot in front of her. She slowly turned her head and had a look like bring it, when all at once the bushes behind me rattled, and I turned like now, and here's Xena Princess Warriors from Hell. Now what? And as I turned to look, the female jumped, and I'm talking 12 feet up and 25 feet out, and she disappeared midair. But as she jumped, there was a silver sparkly thing that started flashing like fireflies, but they were silverish white looking. I finally got my sidearm, a 9mm SCCY short nose with a Reddit sight out, and my head started ringing. And whatever was in the bush was gone. Please don't use my real name. You can call me Buckwheat on here. If you're interested, I can show you the hide of a P 137-pound Kai wolf that had deformed hind legs. They had thumbs, or thumb-like nubs. Well, that's a handful. You want to send me pictures of that Kai wolf thing? I'll be interested in checking that shit out. And that's quite the story, man. Quite the story. But who am I to say it didn't happen? Nobody is. You know, a lot of people say, there's a handful of people out there, presumably the ones who want me to shut up, when they say, he'll read anything. He believes everything and anything. Well, I'll tell you what, all you. The day that you all think that I qualify to dictate what you get to hear or not is going to be a real bad day for all of us. There isn't a human being alive that shouldn't be a human being alive that gets to dictate and decide what I get to hear or not. Right? That's why I have my own puzzle, and that's why all of you have your own puzzles. Take from it the stories, the emails, what you will, or leave it. It's that easy. And it's kind of like, what? It would be like me electing myself to be a fact checker. You know, when I do get I've had a good handful of emails, like for people like Edgar, where I had to follow up. I've followed up and been in conversation with a good many people, for certain. But just so you all know, I will never, ever, ever be the person who dictates to you what emails you will or will not hear read out loud. Ever. Understand that? And anybody that thinks that's a bad thing is probably a firm, embedded member of the dark side.